Hello everyone!
Hi!
Welcome back to the C-Pod.
We are obviously Beth and Leanne. Just quick disclaimer, we are in the same clothes because we're doing a back-to-back recording.
Wow, I think we're on a roll today. And technically, so today, which won't be now, like your time, but we also have episode 4 coming out. So we are like...
Full on. I've got my phone in front, we've got the laptop going, we've got looking at the time. So yeah, this is C-Pod at the ultimate.
I know, and when you think about it, when this is actually released, we would have been past that stage. So yeah,
chilling.
If you listened to last episode or watched last episode, you would know that we spoke about friends and family, how they coped, how they reacted, how we told them, and just we got loads of perspectives. So if you haven't listened to it, please do.
Check
it's
it
a
out.
good one. It's a really good one.
And we're on YouTube and iTunes, so subscribe to our YouTube channel. It will mean that you don't have to keep checking up on us, and you'll just get a notification right through.
I'm sure we'll be fine. It's fine. So Beth, what are we speaking about today?
So we are talking about diet and exercise, and I thought that this was a really crucial one to talk about because I know when I was diagnosed, when I was ill, that is all I ever thought about, to be honest. Because right now I look at social media, and I know we lead a life that is so influenced by social media, which isn't always great, but it is just there. And I have constant reminders of people going through cancer, and they don't look any different, or they look amazing, and I did not. I don't know how my treatment differed from their treatment, but I put on a hell of a load of weight. It was in excess of 3 stone in a month, and I didn't change my eating at all. I probably could have eaten a bit better, but my diet was not bad. I didn't eat takeaways. I didn't drink fizzy drinks. I didn't all of that, all of the typical stuff. I didn't have. I might have had the odd thing in moderation, but it didn't justify the weight gain. So I felt like diet and exercise was the thing I was most stressed about coming out of that experience, because I felt like, oh God, I need to get on the exercise. And I'm sure many of you listeners too will feel like, oh God, like I need to go on a run, or how do I even get back to it? I don't even know how unfit I am. I don't even know where I need to start.
Yeah.
So I think it is a pressure, and I think people struggle differently. For me, because of my massive change in appearance, I didn't even recognise myself, and I look back and think, wow, diet and exercise was a bigger factor for me than maybe for someone else that might have maintained their weight, or maybe didn't lose their hair because they haven't had chemo, or just some people I just don't know how some people's bodies don't change. I feel like mine still hasn't like bounced back.
It's difficult. It's interesting when you say though that when you finished treatment, that was one of your biggest kind of like, you need to get back into it, but you don't know how, because I guess for everyone it's different. And I think for me, obviously, again, I put on a ton of weight through steroids, and it's annoying because they make it out as if to say, right, as soon as you finish and you start getting back to normal, you'll drop it like that.
Don't.
And it's just like, when's this gonna come off?
Right, this is the thing. Like, I'm involved in like forums and Facebook groups and stuff, and I always see girls posting like, I'm losing weight, what should I join, like what diet, or like, has anyone else experienced this? And it's always like diet and body image related, and that is because we are under the impression that when you are taking steroids, as soon as you stop, you literally go back to the former self.
And it's not that case.
And I was constantly under that impression, so it meant that I was up against inevitable disappointment. Like, that didn't happen. And now, 4 years post, my body is still a different body shape to before. I think for me it was difficult because maybe it was at a time whereby I was developing anyway at 17, but it was the cancer too, so I don't really know if that was just a coincidence or the cancer changed my body shape. But because you're under that impression and you never bounce back, you're constantly disappointed. Whereas if you know the reality, and this is the reality,
it's not pretty.
It doesn't just fall off because you stop taking medication. It's like you've put on the weight because you've overeaten and stuff. Yeah. But I don't know about you, but I used to like poke myself and be like, this isn't weight, it's like cloud. I feel like a marshmallow. Like, it feels
it's
artificial.
Like artificial, yeah.
And the weight went like on like my jaw, which meant that I had
the
like,
famous moon face.
No, it was the famous moon face, and my face and my neck went into one, but that means that the weight looked like you were ill. It didn't look like you'd put on weight, like you've eaten too many pies, like an all-inclusive holiday. So I think that's the struggle.
That's the thing, and I was constantly neutropenic, and one of the things that my consultant told me was, so when I was like going through leukemia, I didn't have a strict diet plan, but they told me I wasn't allowed to eat sushi, like anything that has like the bacteria in it. So something like sushi, I wasn't allowed to go to buffets, like Actimel, all the yogurts and stuff like that. And also, when you're neutropenic, you're not really supposed to eat takeaways, or so I was told. I don't actually know.
Yeah, I wasn't told this.
Yeah, so it's almost
I was told like you might as well just eat bad because you're going to put on weight anyway.
Yeah.
Which I think is an awful thing to say.
Yeah,
because
definitely.
The way I look at it is your body is undergoing a marathon. It's got the disease inside of it. It's got to take all of this chemo and rubbish that has been thrown at you. You need it to be in its best form as possible. So you need to feed it good, healthy foods. Like, that's my opinion. Like, this is how I think anyway.
Yeah.
I think, like, if you had a car and you put sunflower oil into it instead of petrol, like, how is it supposed to run? It needs, like, efficient, good quality fuel.
Yeah, definitely.
And if I was going to run a marathon tomorrow, I would feed myself good foods. I can't run a marathon off of a pizza and like cola bottles, you know.
Yeah, it's strange. It's like it's weird because I think everyone has different experiences, and I think in a way, I think when you're on steroids and stuff like that as well, I suppose I don't know about like you or whoever, but I craved the most random stuff, and you eat like for me, I was eating, and although it may not have been the healthiest, or though I may have been eating over than what I should have been eating because of the steroids, I think in a way also it may be better to eat more than to, you know, because I think when I was like going through it, the nurses told me they would rather me eat more and gain weight than lose the weight, because that's when the tube comes out and everything.
That's what they said to me. And then you have a fear like it can go both ways. That's what they told me. Like you can either lose weight and become really frail and you get the tubes and you have to be fed like IV and you put in a wheelchair and you lose loads of weight, or you put on weight but you can feed yourself and you're a bit more able. And it's like, I suppose I definitely went on to the put on weight spectrum.
Oh, don't worry, I've been there too, girl. I think going through cancer has definitely changed what I put into my body, because I think while I was going through it, and as well when you're at the hospital, there's no time to get home, and you know there's no time to cook, so I was eating like sandwiches from like meal deals, and also may have had the McDonald's here and now and whatever. But now I want to eat healthy and I eat a lot more better. I've cut dairy out of my diet, so she says. I'm trying. But yeah, it's definitely changed.
This is a confession. I'm literally a goat. Like, all I drink is Rude Health almond milk. Like, it is the best thing. Like, it's just an unhealthy addiction. This is hilarious how I'm sharing it on here. I literally tried it like 2 weeks ago, and that's all I reach for. Like, I'm not interested in chocolate. I'm not interested in anything. I'm drinking like pints of milk.
Do you know what? I only found out that it wasn't like the best thing for you, because I was like, oh yeah, there's me being healthy with my almond milk and oat milk, and it turns out it's like one of the worst.
The thing is, like, if it's organic, then it's
fine.
Good.
Yeah,
it's you've got to watch out for. This is the thing. Like, I am now more aware of my diet and exercise.
Definitely.
Before, I lost a lot of weight when I was about 16 just through like dieting and stuff, but it wasn't healthy. It was more like counting like
calories,
sins and looking at diet cereal bars and diet this. And I believe, and this is based on a lot of research and an interest that I have now that I think about a lot and listen to podcasts and read lots of things and all of this, losing weight that way is just not healthy. No. Because if you look at the back of packets, the real food is substituted for sweeteners and E1 blah blah, A blah blah, whatever you can't read. And I would much rather being healthier, maybe just a little bit bigger or curvy or whatever, a bit more on the muscle.
No,
but eating like real foods. And the way I think of it is, if it wasn't around like, you know, centuries, hundreds, 200, 300 years ago, whatever, that it's just not real food. So I did lose weight, yes, and then a year later I got cancer. But was it healthy? Probably not. I was probably having like sachets of like soup or powder this or whatever. And I never did like diet shakes or anything like that. I wasn't obsessed, but it was all about kind of calorie counting,
definitely,
and the lowest calories possible, but not actually thinking about the goodness of the food.
Yeah. When you get something like cancer, it kind of makes you question, and actually, it's the same for me. I'm more than happy now to eat 3 meals a day and to just eat healthy and to exercise here and now whenever I have the time, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I'm happy with my body. I'm not constantly like, I mean, don't get me wrong. It would be nice to lose a little bit of weight, but I'm not trying everything, like every diet plan, all the shakes, everything like that anymore.
I think now I choose to follow the organic route just because I eat largely organic. The thing is, being a young person, organic is more expensive. Something has to give. But it just filters out the crap, basically.
Yeah.
And I just try and eat better foods, and I'm just more in tune of what I'm putting into my body, so what that it actually is.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'm exactly the same. Before I used to eat like processed food, I used to eat oven stuff, and I'm not saying that's anything like wrong with that at all, but like chips and stuff like that, where now I actually take the time to read recipes online and like cook them, and they're absolutely like they're amazing. And I'm not saying that I'm a vegan, because I'm not. I'm more like experimenting on the vegetarian side, and I'm trying vegan recipes. I'm just really enjoying cooking, and that's something I never used to be before. Before I used to fear food in a way, but now I love it.
Like you'd feel a bit distant. Like I know I was a bit like it didn't really matter that much, or like I didn't think that much about it. Whereas now it has much more of an importance. Like I personally just like there's a balance. I eat what I like, but make sure it's organic. But I don't really go towards lots and lots of processed stuff.
No, same, yeah.
Things like that I would never have researched before.
Yeah.
But now I research it for me, because once upon a time, the me suffered. So now I need to invest more in myself and like actually think about like what's going in. So I do believe there's such value in organic and intermittent fasting personally. But it's all about you and like what works for you.
But I think as well, when it comes to cancer, I just think just eat whatever you can, and definitely don't always go down the takeaway route. But I mean, if that's because as well, I think we've got to think that when we have chemotherapy, you know, we don't always want to eat. So even if we don't eat the entire day and just have that one McDonald's at the hospital or anything, I just think in that moment in time, I guess it would be so much better if people did not research, but like actually thought about what they consumed in their body. But it depends on the circumstances, I think,
It is hard
it?
at the time when you're feeling so poorly and you can't necessarily cook and you're relying on other people. I would try and reduce the amount of bad stuff you'd consume, just because I never felt good after, but that's just me personally. But yeah, sometimes you just can't eat, like all kind of logic goes out the window. And the funny thing is though, if you do reach for something bad, you might end up making it worse for you, because you end up hating the food because of the taste in your mouth or the smell. I used to love meal deals, like sandwiches, and I haven't eaten a sandwich for like 4 years since.
There's so many famous, like, oh god, it's amazing.
I know, it's so
weird.
particular, isn't it? But you know, like you were saying, like the Tesco meal deal or Boots meal deal, I don't really have that now generally, but
because it reminds you of chemo and
exactly. But sandwiches specifically, it was just I couldn't even taste a sandwich. It just tasted horrible. It's so interesting. Did you have anything like that?
I remember, so I don't really eat McDonald's that much, but when I remember this one time I was having the worst chemotherapy on my cycle. It was for 4 hours long. It was draining. It used to space me out. I just felt really weird after. And during that time when I was having it, my mum, I think it was my dad actually, he went and got McDonald's for me, and I was on steroids at the time, so I requested a 20 nugget share box all for myself.
And mozzarella dippers at home. I love mozzarella.
They are amazing. They are so good.
There's only 3 in a portion though. Like
I know. Did you ever taste them when they came out with like the Great American ones? Those ones were good. I think it was like the American burgers. And they were on level. I wish they could bring them.
Like we bang on about health, but I'm just like mozzarella dippers with organic almond milk.
Definitely. Oh, God.
Balance, you know.
Yeah, balance. You got to balance your diet. But so I had the 20 nuggets, and I remember just slowly eating, and then I got to halfway through, I think, and I remember just looking at them, and I felt sick. And ever since, I've not been able to touch them. I can eat McDonald's nuggets, but not in a 20 nugget share box. And I think pizza as well. Pizza used to really bloat me out, and with cancer and with chemo, you become constipated. And I mean, whoever has been through this, and I'm gonna say it because it is true. The poos that you, like your bowels, when you empty your bowels, it hurts and it's not nice. And when you're constipated, it's the worst feeling. And I feel like it was automatically like a bloat already. And then I had pizza once and it made it worse. And I don't think I went to the toilet for about 3 days. And it was painful. And ever since, I've not eaten pizza. And my boyfriend moans at me like, oh, can we get a pizza? And I'm like, no. I just can't go back to it.
It puts you off.
It's weird.
But cancer does change your body as well, though. Like,
yeah.
You know your body agrees or disagrees. And if it disagrees, you know about it.
Yeah. What amazes me, though, is we'll move on to exercise now pretty much. But when, like, on on Instagram, I follow, like, a few cancer, like, people that are going through cancer now. And they've got the same illness as me, and they are still on treatment, and they go to the gym. And how do they do it? I mean, I know everyone's different, but I don't know how. It's
sometimes I can't even go there. Like, I can't even compare. Like I said in our last episode, I briefly mentioned that you look on social media and people look like they don't even have cancer. They haven't gained weight. And a massive part of this is my emphasis on diet and exercise when I was ill, because I changed so much physically. I couldn't fit into anything, and I was just so uncomfortable because like I just wasn't used to all of this. But some people like are fashionable and like doing all this. I honestly,
I look like an egg who was in bed all the time.
Humpty Dumpty.
Did you exercise while you were going through treatment? And how did you, once you finished, how did you get back into exercise? Like, what were your steps?
Because I was studying whilst I was having chemo, it meant that I really didn't really have time. If I fell ill at a different point in my life or didn't resume my studies, I think I would have tried to emphasise exercise all the way through a bit more. So I would have even just tried to keep up walking, because I feel like as soon as you stop, that's it. Like that's your decline. You can't get back to it. But because I was studying, I was literally sitting at a desk all the time, so it did not help my movement, my mobility, and my exercise. So I found getting back to it really hard, more difficult. I would say I got back into exercise gradually. I found it very difficult. I know as I was going through it, I struggled just to walk to school, and I lived about a 10-minute walk away. So when it came to afterwards and trying to get back into it, I just had to start from the bottom up. But I was so frustrated that I could just resume where I left off. Like, I used to play sport competitively, and that finished. And even now, 4 years down the line, even now, I do it weekly. Like, play for a club, and I still get frustrated because like, I'm not as sharp as I was, I'm not as agile as I was, and it's literally like restarting. So it can be so frustrating, but then you've got to remember that the only person that puts pressure on you is you.
Yeah.
So you do just have to embrace it, accept it, and keep going. But it's tough because I felt like I was changing so much, yet my diet didn't change, so like I didn't deserve it. Like, I didn't deserve the weight gain.
And the thing is as well, you think you can combat these things when actually you have no control whatsoever.
Yeah.
And it's just 1 minute, you know, you are you. Your fitness is like at its best. And then the next day, it can be from like 100 to 0 in seconds or minutes. Or...
How did you find getting back to it? Did you struggle with diet and exercise?
Yeah, I'd say, definitely one of my biggest challenges, because whilst I was going through chemotherapy, I developed 2 blood clots, one in each leg. So that prevented me to walk, and then I ended up in a wheelchair. And for months I was on blood thinners, so it was like injections every day and every evening for 6 months, 5 or 6 months. And, you know, I couldn't walk. I physically could not walk. I was like, when I had to go to the hospital, I was put in a wheelchair and I barely moved. So when my blood clots cleared, I was then honestly, it was like taking baby steps, having to learn again. My mum would have to walk me to the toilet and back, and like so I could balance, walk me up the stairs and down again. So my biggest challenge, I remember, was walking from my road, like outside my door, to the end of that road and back. And it took me a good 15-20 minutes, and I was out of breath. And it was slowly like going further, and like every time I went for a walk I would go further and further, but it was as if when I came back, it was as if I was like I'd just come back from running a marathon. I was panting. It was horrible.
It's so hard, and it's actually horrible mentally because you just can't do anything you did before. I was the same. Like my mum had to like lift me out of the bath.
I've had that. Yeah.
And like go up the stairs up on my bum. And everything was such a challenge. Even when I'd walk from the train, don't tell my oncologist, to the hospital. My mum would link arms with me and we'd just walk there slowly and she'd say, right, we're going to go at your own pace.
The walk to that was the worst thing. Yeah.
And even just walking from the train to the hospital, which is like round the corner, it was just so difficult.
It's a mission. It is a mission.
I started uni like 4 months after chemo, and I didn't even think about the practicalities of that. Like I had to get to my lectures and it was a campus-based uni and I lived in halls just off of campus and the lecture would be the other side of campus, which is fine, and I'd make friends and they'd be like, okay, we'll meet at 2:45 and the lecture would start at 0:00.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, they obviously don't know my diagnosis, they just think I'm a bit chubby and I've got a shaved head, but I was like, I don't even know if I'm gonna be able to walk there, let alone in 15 minutes. So it affected my friendships. I had to leave earlier. I'd sometimes walk on my own because I'd be embarrassed, but like an example would be a 15-minute walk would take me 30 minutes and I'd get there and just struggle so much, even just to go to a lecture. So it was just such a mental battle. And obviously going to uni, I went there as an individual on my own. So diet and exercise affected my everyday life.
Yeah, same. Massively.
Yeah,
I think for me as well, when I slowly began to progress with walking, I then took it upon myself to join the gym, which, to be honest, it was a good idea, but obviously I had to be so careful with what I was going to do. And I think the first time I went back to the gym, I was so embarrassed because, you know, chubby kid again, like no hair whatsoever. And I remember, I think my first time at the gym in years, I stayed for about 10 minutes and left. And I left like just absolutely sweating. But it's frustrating because I think even now I'm not at my fittest. But to be fair, I don't have time to go to the gym right now. But when I look back on how far I've come, it's just a bit like, wow.
Yeah,
like,
you have to give yourself credit. Like,
yeah,
I know
massively.
I still think like, oh, like I'm not to where I was before. I'm not as agile or as quick or run like I could before, all these things. But then you've just got to give yourself credit. Like,
yeah, for sure.
You know, like even for me, to play sports and to be in part of a club before, I'd have been like, I can't even do that. I can't even match a level. Whereas they don't know that I was ill. Like I just blend in, or I'm the same ability as them.
Yeah.
So it's just baby steps, isn't it?
Definitely. And I think progress is progress. And even if that means walking 2 steps further than you did the day before and then going back for a nap, you deserve that nap.
Yeah,
you know?
Like... exactly. And it's not linear, the progress.
Yeah.
You just... Some days is better than others.
Of course, yeah.
But that's cancer in general, isn't it?
No.
Sometimes it's like you don't even have it. The next day it's like a checkup or chemo, and you can't even think about doing the stuff that you did yesterday.
I mean, even now, I would say obviously I'm so much more fitter. I think I'm at my fittest that I've been in years, put it that way, even though I'm still not completely there. There are days when I walk to my station, which is on a hill, and I get so out of breath, I feel like, I need to stop. But then I think, no, don't stop. You're fine. You can do this. But then I get to the top of it and I just, you know, like, wow. And then there's days when I'm rushing up it, like, I'm going to be late. And just like, go for it.
Like,
don't
look at me.
Yeah, like, this is a good day. Yeah, I think everyone just has their good and bad days. And it's completely normal, like, after cancer. I mean, even in general, but just after cancer, you know, there are days when you're going to feel so much better than others, and if it's a bad day, just don't be too harsh on yourself because your body's telling you something. And
you don't snap back. Like, it's not as soon as you end and finish chemo and treatment that everything slots back into place. Diet and exercise is the after to treatment. That's what I found. I didn't think of it much whilst I was having chemo and throughout those really intense months, but afterwards that's all I thought about. And it's like with anything, it just doesn't happen overnight. It's something you've just got to stick with.
Yeah, and believe, like, it's so, because I've been there in that sense that from walking, honestly, it was horrible, but I used to like cry in my room because I was so upset that I couldn't even walk anymore. But I mean, it took me a good like 2-3 months to be able to walk properly again without getting out of breath or
Yeah.
whatever, just not normally. But you do get there. You really do get there.
What do you think about body image? Do you think it's changed your body image? How you look at yourself?
I'm still cautious with my body image, but I think that's mainly due to social media. I think when it comes to eating now, I don't really think twice. As long as I'm eating, like putting good stuff into my body, I don't care about skipping a meal. I don't do that anymore. No, skipping meals, it's not worth it. Just eat healthy, have that energy.
And enjoy food.
Enjoy it, yeah.
If you spend all the time worrying about it, you never actually realise its taste.
Yeah,
or
of course.
You spend too many months, years just worrying about things
Yeah.
that like you need and have done.
Of course, and I also think as well, if you miss a week at the gym, if you miss a month at the gym, it doesn't matter as long as you are, you know, being healthy.
Moderation is everything.
It really does not matter. I just don't think it's worth it. And I know that there's still pressures of social media, but you just have to block that out. And I know that's tough because I do, I don't know about you, but social media is not all what it seems.
No, it's all smoke and mirrors. It
No,
really
for
is.
sure. What about you?
Body image.
Are you more confident now? Or?
I struggled with it, to be honest, straight after, because I was like, I have never, like, anyone would struggle with it. Like, say you go from a certain shape and then nothing else fits in your wardrobe and you literally, like, look like a different person in 2 months. Anyone would struggle with that because you just think, what do I do here?
Yeah,
what's this? How do I revert back to before? Or, like, and it's the impatience. I was impatient. I want to get back to before and, like, I just want to snap back already. I think like now, like I don't restrict my eating. I don't do anything like that because I know the importance of living. Like I just can't be like that, and I'm just not interested in that. But it's just living wholesomely
And being aware, yeah.
Yeah, being wholesome. I think that is the emphasis. So eat wholesome foods. Yeah, it's so-and-so's birthday, so you might not always be like that. But I don't want to restrict my eating like that. But I just want to like change my mentality. So I don't really believe in diet culture. I believe in like lifestyle. So any fad diets, I'm just like, oh, like you always see like Instagram adverts of fad diets, and it's nothing good can come out of that.
Teas and skinny teas.
But even if you lose weight, like that might be feeding a disease. Like when I lost loads of weight, yeah, on the outside, yeah, I was much skinnier. But who knows the crap that was in there, and then I got cancer after. Like I don't know what damage that was doing to my body because I was not eating good foods. I was eating artificial diet, sweetener based foods where I would look at natural fats as, oh my god, fat, that just says fat.
Scary, yeah.
So now I just try to have balance, and obviously like it's hard because I've changed a lot and you have to embrace it, and I obviously try to embrace it, but I'm just the same as any other person really. Like I'm confident sometimes, and then there's other times you can't help but compare.
I think that's just like life as well, isn't it? It's just it's sad, but I guess it's something that no one can escape. If you do, I mean, good for you. We haven't got there, but I'm sure we will.
But it's part of being humble, I think. Like
it's just human.
There's always room for improvement. Like I never feel like I'm completely satisfied in what I'm doing, or that I've completely nailed something. You constantly want to grow and improve yourself, so I'll never be fully happy, which can be dangerous for some people because you keep like striving for perfection
more,
and perfection doesn't exist.
Exactly.
But it like for me it keeps me humble. Like if I was like, yep, I love my body image, I am literally Instagram ready, then like that's just not me. Like it's fine. You know. Right, so should we introduce our first guest?
Let's do it.
So welcome, Emma. This is our lovely new guest.
Yes.
So would you like to introduce yourselves to the listeners?
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. So my name's Emma Kennedy. I am the founder of a website called Lions, Tigers and Bears, which is a site that I set up after my own diagnosis, and it's for people affected by all sorts of different cancers, to help them with various different things that they might need as they go through treatment, whether that be products or services or a bit of advice and support. So that's me. Hi. So I was diagnosed about 2 years ago with triple negative breast cancer. So it was grade 3, so quite aggressive. So I had the whole like chemo, surgery, lumpectomy, and then radiotherapy. So I finished in December 2017. And in terms of diet and exercise, I think I've always struggled with my weight. I think I've always been, I'm like a real fad dieter. I'll kind of go, all guns blazing down, eating cabbage soup or something stupid, and then, and then kind of back to normal. But actually, just before I got diagnosed, I'd lost 3.5 stone.
Oh wow!
And it's partly because of that I actually found the lump that led to my diagnosis in the first place. So I do kind of really count the fact if I hadn't lost that weight, I don't know that I'd have ever found the lump. So yes, I was obviously really lucky that we caught it quite early as well. So yeah, and I think since then, I don't know how you guys feel, but like it's been a real struggle because there's so much conflicting advice around all of it. And it's a bit mind-boggling, and I put on weight through chemo and stuff. I've really struggled to lose it afterwards.
That's what we found too. I don't know about your the depths of your experiences, but the weight is like artificial and it sticks to you like glue.
Oh my god, yes it does, absolutely. You just literally look in the mirror and you go, oh my god, I literally don't recognise myself. And the doctors, I don't know how your doctors were. Mine were really like, oh, it's fine. I was like, no, I'm putting on this weight.
Yeah.
They're like, no, it's good. And it was like, but it didn't feel good.
No. I feel like it's glossed over. I feel like it's, but it's fine, you're fine, and it's not. There's no emphasis on it, so you're just kind of like, it's happening.
And you're left to deal with that, aren't you?
And that's not your focus, but it's happening to you, and you don't know if it's the norm, and like you're just assured, like, don't worry about it, it'll go after.
Yeah, exactly. And they don't really give you an awful lot of guidance on how to get rid of it after. It's all about having a healthy diet and so on.
No, absolutely.
But it is just, it's just like, oh yeah, it'll be fine. Yeah, you're right, it is. They do just gloss over it massively. I mean, well, I think cancer impacts your self-image so much. To then have that on top as well.
I think there's cancer changes body image, self-image, just identity, not just how your body looks, just who you are.
Yeah.
So much. So with added weight gain and emphasis on you need to improve your diet to lose it and how to get back to exercise, it all just feels a bit too much.
It does.
Yeah, absolutely. And then of course everyone has an opinion as well about exactly what you should be eating or not eating.
Yeah.
Cure yourself or keep yourself cured.
It's constant conflicts.
Well, whack them over the head with a bunch of kale or something. There's loads of vegetarians who have bowel cancer, for example. Apparently, if you eat meat, you're going to get bowel cancer. Apparently, if you eat turmeric, you're going to keep cancer away for good. And if you... it's just, dairy is evil, sugar is evil, all of these different things.
I think you can only do your bit, can't
That's
you?
The thing.
Like, you can't always think like this, otherwise you could be eating amazingly healthy, but you're still going to be tormenting yourself.
Yeah.
And it's like restricted eating. If you're constantly thinking, if I eat this, then this is going to happen, or blah, 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 then you're honestly going to hate food. I want to love food.
Yeah.
I like a nice pasta dish with a bit of parmesan.
That's the thing.
I absolutely agree.
Yeah.
And I think as well, if you have a fear towards all of these different types of foods, you're not going to eat anything. So it's like you can't win at all.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's good. Isn't asparagus been linked to cancer now as well, or something like that?
Really? Probably.
Yeah.
Probably. I think they change their minds every 5 minutes.
I know. It's just.
So would you say you're more aware of your diet now, or are you not? Are you just thinking you do what you can do?
I am. I have tried. I have made some fairly significant change. With that said, I have made some fairly significant changes to my diet. So I eat a lot cleaner these days, so a lot less processed food. I do a lot more kind of cooking from scratch, but that's really because I personally felt that I needed to kind of cut a lot of the chemicals and rubbish out. So I do eat less meat these days. I do still eat meat, but I probably only eat meat about 3 times a week now, and the rest of the time I'm vegetarian.
Okay, interesting.
That's interesting because I'm kind of following something similar where I do still eat meat, but I am trying to cut it out as much as I possibly can and just trying all these different things.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think as well, I became much more aware of like the environment and everything as well. So it's also about sort of a level of sustainability as well. And I think just like I said, but cutting the chemicals out has been a big thing for me.
I completely relate to that. You just think of like having experienced chemo, which is pure chemical. I look at food and think of chemicals and just think, oh gosh, it's just the last thing I want. I just want something that just feels natural and smells natural. But I find it so hard. If I lived in the Caribbean and watermelons are on the side of the road, then it'd be fine. But when you go into the food like aisle, I just can't smell anything. It's just so uninspiring.
Yeah.
And if you want organic, you pay a premium. But even then, everything is packaged in plastic. You can't smell anything. Yeah. Everything feels processed, even if you try not to go for that avenue.
Yeah, so I try to eat more in season as well. So at the moment it's a lot of, kind of root vegetables and, apples and plums and things like that. And kind of, just because then I figure as well, it's theoretically, hopefully it's a bit fresher as well.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
So,
how did going through chemotherapy, going through cancer, radiotherapy, all of that, how did that affect your fitness, and did it decline?
So I nearly made, when I first got diagnosed and I was sort of talking to the nurses and everything, one of my biggest concerns was, can I still do kickboxing?
Oh,
and
wow.
they were like, what? And I was like, no, seriously, like I still really want to do my kickboxing.
Good
and
for you.
Like,
yeah.
Maybe. And as I went through, like I did work out far less, and I did find like the fatigue really, hard. But I did continue to go kickboxing. I did Pilates. I still stopped doing classes just because
there's a level you probably have to reach. You can't do your own thing as much.
Yeah, exactly. And also just being with that many people in a kind of like really hot and sweaty environment, I was just like, no. And I think that really helped. And there's been so much evidence now as well that actually, if you can exercise, even if it's just getting out for a walk while you're having chemo, it actually really helps it to work better. So I did that. And then I think as well, since everything, I've really struggled. I've struggled with a bit with like the whole kind of depression and like getting really anxious and every little twinge I'm like, can you get cancer of the knee or
oh god, yeah,
can you get cancer of the fingernail or something?
Yeah.
Oh god.
And I've actually found that exercise has really, really helped me to kind of keep my sanity as well, you know. So I probably work out about 4 times a week now.
Amazing. Is that kickboxing or is that just a bit of everything?
No, I've actually stopped because I go to a different gym now, so I've actually stopped kickboxing. But yeah, I do. It's a real mix. So I try and do like 2 or 3 really kind of hardcore cardio type sessions.
Amazing.
And then a couple more kind of weight, and then I'll do a bit of Pilates. And I do walk loads as well. So
that's amazing.
Yeah, that's incredible.
I think that's so beneficial, just keeping it up. Like we mentioned just before, just between us two, that as soon as you stop, it's so hard to get started again.
Yeah.
So if you just maintain it, even if you just lower the intensity a bit, I feel like you're doing yourself massive favours, even just by walking through chemo or just challenging yourself just to small amounts. Everything obviously is down to you and your personal situation. You can't really compare, but no, that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
What a great routine.
I used to find on the weeks when I had chemo, it would be much gentler, so it would be more kind of Pilates or yoga, and that kind of thing, and more walking. And then like the week that I had, so I was on a 2-week cycle, so I'd have 1 week on, 1 week off. So the 1 week on, I'd be like, take it easy, and then the second week, that would be
back to the cardio.
Ramp it up a bit as well. So, and considering how much weight I gained, I tried to think what I'd have done if I hadn't.
Did you still gain a lot of weight despite maintaining exercise?
Yeah, so much. Yeah, I gained about 1.5 stone.
Yeah.
And like I say, the oncologist was like, "Oh, it's just the steroids. It's just the steroids."
Oh.
I don't know how much is the steroids and how much is also because for all my kind of like toxin, I am still very partial to a bit of cake and chocolate. And there's always that thing in your brain, isn't there? Like, well, I deserve it because, you know, look what I'm going through.
Yeah,
of course.
And you feel knackered, you just want to come back and have that nice little slice of heaven.
Yeah, exactly.
Treat yourself.
Yeah, but those steroids, they're brutal, aren't they?
Oh my God.
It's in the middle of the night or the next day when you haven't slept and you're just knackered and you're reaching for the sugar or just actually reaching for anything. There were some days, if you'd have told me there was a bacon sandwich down the bottom of the bin,
I need it.
I would have gone down to get it.
Yeah.
It's all about carbs and grease and awful.
I used to have really bad mood swings. Like when I was on steroids, I used to have certain food. I used to plan what I wanted to eat. And then if I didn't eat it at a certain point of the day, I would have really bad mood swings and I would crave these foods. And I would crave foods that I didn't even like. So like fish and chips. I hate fish and chips and...
Oh, I love it.
Oh, no, I don't know why. I've never really liked fish. And it was like my go-to meal all the time. And it was bizarre. I haven't touched it since coming off the steroids.
Funny, isn't it? There's certain things that I can't touch ginger tea anymore because I used to drink it by the bucket load to help with the nausea, and like now, if I pour a cup of ginger tea, just the smell of it still makes me feel a little bit queasy. It does really affect. I hear some people say like you should never try and eat like any of your favourite foods.
Yes, and like you think you're being a bit naughty by having something you love, like a treat, and then it actually turns you off of it because of the taste in you that it's already in your mouth.
I remember the day when chocolate tasted bad. It was like a really sad day.
Oh yeah. And you just pray that it won't continue to taste bad after.
What I find interesting is, do you still now feel fatigued from your treatment and your like your whole illness in general, and how do you combat that? Is it through exercising and diet?
Do you know what? It's really funny because today I was walking, I'd walked down to our local town centre and I was walking back, and it suddenly occurred to me that actually the last week or so, oh God, I feel like I need to touch wood or something, but it seems to finally be lifting.
Amazing.
That's like over a year since finishing treatment. I mean, it took so long. But yeah, I do still find every now and then if I have like a really busy, doing a lot, it will just wipe me out and I have to have like a day on the sofa doing nothing. But and I think the hardest thing when you are really fatigued is your body's natural reaction is to hit the sugar. When in actual fact, if you can go down kind of like having some nuts or like a banana or like kind of that slow release energy, it's so much better for you.
Do you also find that... Yeah, sure. Do you also find that just in terms of like body image and the weight gain and things, I personally feel like I've never gone back to what I look like or how I felt before. Like your body just does change. And for me, losing weight and like getting comfortable again was a long process and obviously ongoing, like no one's perfect. Do you feel like it's a longer process for you? Like you don't just snap back?
Definitely. Definitely. I think I think as well because of my age as well, so I am, because I'm 42, and I think it's all left me, so the chemo put me into kind of like a medical menopause for a brief while, and although like I'm out of that now, and kind of I think it has maybe put me about 10 years ahead of where I would be if I hadn't had that chemo.
Interesting.
So I do think, and I've really noticed I really struggle to lose weight now.
It's so hard.
I find that I keep thinking it's in my head, but I really struggle to lose weight now. Like I don't even eat that much or bad things, but it's just not shifting. I'm just maintaining or...
See, I fluctuate. There's periods of time when I will have a really good healthy diet. Well, to be honest, it's the same diet the entire time. And I will lose not a ton of weight, but a nice amount. And then a few weeks after, it'll all be put back on again with the same diet and exercise. It doesn't. It's very weird.
So maybe that's the common thing, that like a lot of people that have had cancer, their bodies are just reluctant to shed that extra bit of.
It's
I think it's the hormones. I do really think it might be the hormones, and that's what's impacting it all. But I don't know. I'm not sure. I just know that I did Slimming World before, and sort of in amongst all this, I do still follow Slimming World, and like, but it doesn't work for me as well as it did previously.
Sure.
I really noticed that it's harder. I think if my main thing is for anyone that is like kind of going through it right now, it's like, seriously, don't you can get yourself really tangled up in knots with it all, and it can really affect your mental well-being, you know, with all this. Should I go ketogenic? Should I go vegan? Should I go, you know, cut all the sugar out and so on? And I just think, actually,
just do what you
just
can
need
do.
to kind of work out what works for you, you
Yeah.
know, and try not to obsess over it too much, because at the end of the day, with all of those things that you can do, it's not, it doesn't impact the rate of recurrence that much scientifically. You know, if you cut down red meat, it maybe cuts down your chance by something like 0.5%. You know, it's not very much. Although the exercise can reduce your rate of recurrence by up to like 43%.
Wow.
So it's
amazing.
really important.
Yeah. I think it's just a balanced lifestyle, isn't it? You know, just doing your bit,
Exactly,
getting up and going.
I'm gonna get myself in the gym next week. I need to.
I might run to the gym now.
40%. I need that 40%.
Oh, thank you so much. It was a lovely, lovely
No
chat.
problem at all.
Yeah,
Please
you're
keep
amazing.
in touch.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It's been really lovely chatting to you both.
Thank you. You too. You too.
Thank you. We'll speak soon.
Yeah, have a lovely evening.
Yeah, have a
Yes,
lovely
you too.
Thank you.
Enjoy.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye now.
Bye. So you've just heard Emma there. Thank you so much. I think that was actually very interesting.
Oh, that was lovely. That was really nice to chat.
Yeah.
One thing that stuck out to me was, despite having a different type of cancer, she found kind of body image and like losing weight and struggling with that and the pressures of it the same.
Yeah.
Despite having it maybe at a different age, a different type of cancer.
And I really like the fact that she still went to the gym and
Kickboxing.
you know what, you go girl, like wow.
Love that. I need to get on that now.
I know, right? God, like it takes me years to actually get there, but
I think also like what we've learned from it, and well, not so much learned, you kind of just know it already. Is that you can only do you. Like, don't lose your love for food. Don't lose your passion. Do your bit as much as possible. And yeah, maybe eat right, organic, or have a bit of this, eat a bit of that. Maybe cut out the chemicals, or just be a bit more aware. But we all still like a slice of cake, you know. Like, we all still fall down. We're not machines. We're humans. Like, still live. You just got to live. You can't be too fantasized on the rights and wrongs and too restricting.
of course. And I think, like, in discussion with Emma as well, if we, you know, all these like scientific facts that come out, if you eat this certain type of food, you'll get this. If you eat this, don't eat that. You're not going to eat anything. So I just think, just eat, you know, healthy, but eat whatever you want. Don't count calories. Don't. Well, it's up to you.
Be wise.
But,
But whatever works for you. What works for you is different to someone else, and everyone will always be opinionated about this topic.
Yeah, for sure.
But
There's no right or wrong answer, is there?
yeah, the common denominator is the same. We all want to be healthy. We all want to be happy. All we do is striving is in order to reach happiness or ultimate happiness, and health. Like that's just what we're all after. So
and everyone has different ways of doing that.
Your plan might be different to someone else's, and as long as we accept it and try to help others rather than critique them and say you're doing wrong, you should do this, like trying to inform others or add, and instead of criticizing, because we all have different opinions, just maybe think, oh, can I learn from this person, or I know this because of this, maybe you should read into it, or if you don't like it, then this may be for you, and just help others rather than bring them down and tell them they're wrong or they're not doing something right. And
for sure. And I think when it comes to exercise, when you go through something like cancer, whether it's during or whether it's after, just listen to your body and don't put pressure on yourself to do more, because it is such a frustrating journey. Like, not having the ability to do the stuff that you used to do before, it takes time, but you just have to learn to accept it. And I know it's really annoying when I say this, but you have to be patient. And I know, again, like when you say the word patient, it's just like you hear the nurses say, you just need to be patient, it will be fine, you will get there. And I know you hear it time and time again, but I think when it comes to fitness, it's true. Like, you just have to be patient and take it step by step. You'll have good days, you'll have bad days, but you will get there in the end. And you just got to keep going.
The thing is, we're all human. Like, we all get it. Like, even if you're not where you want to be, well, who is really? Just try and do your bit. Like, I know, even like 3.5 years post my treatment, I did exercise like a year or two after, but in terms of actually like going back to team sport and like league competitive stuff, I delayed that because I thought, like, what level am I even at now? I'm going to be intimidated. I'll also be really frustrated because I know as soon as I step onto a pitch, I'm not as good as I was before.
Yeah, definitely.
Whereas when I'm doing exercise individually, like, I don't see that instant comparison. But just taking that first step, like, I only did that first step 3 years or 3.5 years after my treatment, because that's just what was right for me. I went to the gym and stuff before that, but in terms of actually returning to that kind of more strict exercise schedule, I did it then. And even then, it's intimidating. Like, it's really not easy. The first time I went, it's like being the new girl at school, and then only this time you're like, oh my God, can I even do this now? Or it'd just be much easier if I'm at home, or like, am I fatter now, or am I less fit now? Like, are they looking at me and do they know? Do I stick out like a sore thumb?
But again, I think that's more like baby steps again, isn't it? It's patience, it's baby steps, and you'll get there.
You've just got to do it. Get there. Like, I did it, and the first time it was like kind of scary, and now it's almost my norm. So you've got to give credit to yourself.
Yeah, and that's the thing as well. Just don't forget how far you've come. You may not be in your best like fitness, or you may not be your best version of yourself now, and who knows if you ever will be. Who knows if we ever will be? But yeah, you just have to look back and think, wow, a few years ago I was in a wheelchair, or I was in bed and I couldn't do this, I couldn't do that, and now
it's humbling.
We're thriving.
It's humbling. You forget that though, don't you? Because you're too busy like, oh, I haven't done this, or I missed gym this week. That's the thing.
You worry about the new stuff, and although that's great, you have to give yourself credit.
I don't know about you, but I used to think that I was so different to everyone else. Like, I'd stick out like a sore thumb. Like, and this probably, like, I'm generally not like that much of a worrier. I don't really overthink things, but the whole experience made me think a bit more like, I stick out. It's obvious, like, I'm just not the same as everyone else, and that is diet related, because I just thought maybe it's due to my weight or like my lack of hair at the time, and I probably made the situation worse for me by going to uni straight after, because you go out at Freshers Week and all of that, and all the girls get ready together and have long hair and wear nice clothes or whatever, and I did stick out. I was different. I couldn't like do my hair, or I couldn't fit into all their dresses as they shared them. Like, it was that kind of thing. Did you feel like that? Did you feel like you stuck out? Like, and sometimes I'm like, do I still stick out?
Yeah, when I first attended university again, like in 2016, so this was when I was coming towards the end of my maintenance treatment. I was still pretty heavy. I had really short hair, and I was so afraid that people would question, why does she look like that? And I just used to get so scared, and I used to feel like when I spoke to someone new, or like in my class or whatever, I feel like I had to explain to them, this isn't me. I've gone through cancer, but I also don't want you to know that I've gone through cancer, because I've now come into this new environment where I almost don't want people to know, because this is my new start. Yeah. So it was just such
a contradiction.
Yeah, exactly. And I remember, I don't know if I've said this already actually, but I remember when it was freshers and we were going into university, and you get all the stalls and stuff like that. There was a guy who was doing paintballing, and he was like, "You over there, what made you do your hair like that? You look very cool." And I was like, "Cancer," like that. And he went, "Oh." And then I just thought, oh my God, do I really like stick out that much? And I think it was from then where I just was really self-conscious about how I looked, and just like my body in general. And but I feel like that moment where he was like, "Hi, you," and I don't think he meant anything of it at all, because he probably didn't expect me to say that at all, like those words. But I definitely felt like I stuck out, and I don't as much. I don't know. I don't feel like that now, but it took a very, very long time to get over that. A very long time.
I agree. It took me a long time. I don't think I do as much now, but where I'm tall, I'm still like, am I tall and big? Because there's a danger as a tall person, I feel like a giant.
No.
But in terms of like, when I was heavier and tall and heavier, I just thought like, I do not look like the same as these other girls who all look pretty similar. Because when you're like 16, 17, you haven't deviated that much from each other. You know, you're kind of similar age, kind of like listen to the similar things, dress similarly. So that was a really tough thing for me. But I think it's the stage of life which made it harder as well. Like being a young person at uni, there's like, if you have free time with your friends, you do one thing, you go out, like, or you dress the same, or you like the same clothes, or you know, you're just more similar. Whereas if I was an adult, you know, in my 30s or 40s, I would have had my own identity a bit more. Yeah. Or just accepted me for me.
Yeah.
And been different.
Do you ever think it's weird? It's a little bit off topic, but I find it so strange. Like, looking at yourself in first year at university and looking at yourself in your last year, how much you change so quickly and, like, in a positive progression.
Yeah.
It's just...
I don't like looking at photos, to be honest, of back then, because I never felt like it was me.
Yeah.
I was always like, the real me's pending, you know. Like, it's coming, launching next year. Like, but I just like, it was just kind of the me that cancer created. Yeah. It wasn't actually myself as I knew it. So, yeah, I see the progression, I'm like, oh God, first year, when I didn't really recover, or hadn't recovered yet, and then second year was like the journey, and then third year I was like, okay, it's fine now.
But I think it's brilliant how we've bounced back. I mean, to feel so low at this certain point of in our life and to look a certain way, but I also think that the looks help, or they really do help. But as I think you begin to look more normal, and back to your usual self, obviously your confidence comes back. But I just think it's brilliant how, like, in a space of 3 years or, like, more, we've gone from feeling really, like, don't look at me, to, hey, we do a podcast, you know? Like, it's wow.
Yeah, this is such a massive experience. And we hope that these topics are helping you and you feel like you can relate, because that is really the aim of this. So, yeah, don't hesitate to just comment and let us know. Even just direct message us if you don't feel comfortable sharing it with the world. No. But we were that once upon a time. We were going through it, and I was in denial most probably, and diet and exercise particularly was a tough topic for me, and I couldn't even tell you how I felt because I just didn't want to face up to it.
I mean, same. I didn't even know what diet and exercise was at that point when I was ill, because I was just so, like, bedbound.
Where do you start?
And, paralysed almost, and it's just... We should be proud.
I think like a last message from this episode really is diet and exercise. Yes, it's important. Do your research. If you're interested in it, do it for the love. Like, do research because you're like, oh, rather than, oh my God, this is what I need to, like, oh, I'm not doing enough.
Boring.
Like, getting on into yourself, into your mental zone where you just panic and blah, blah, blah. You should love food, you should love exercise, like, do it for the right reasons. Yeah. But remember, you're human, so you can do your bit, you can do your research, you can implement things, and good for you, good on you for trying to make change. But also, don't beat yourself up, don't overthink it, don't let it be the last thing you think about at night, because wouldn't that be a real shame?
It would, yeah. It's not there to ruin lives, it's there to improve lives, really, isn't it?
So... Exactly. So just do your bit and keep plodding along.
Yes.
We're all plodders. That's how we got here.
You know what? That's literally me, just like plodding along, having absolutely no clue what I'm doing or where I'm going. But you know,
make it till you make it.
Yeah. But I think
that's a wrap for this episode.
Absolutely. We hope you have enjoyed listening to us ramble on again and again. And thank you for coming back and listening. And we'd like to thank our fabulous guest, Emma, who was great.
And all the guests that have been all the way through this series.
Yeah. Without you, like, me possible. No, I'm joking.
I'd like to thank my mum.
Thanks for having me, you know, giving back.
Let's not get into detail. But yeah, thank you. It's been a blast. Don't hesitate to let us know what you think. Subscribe to our YouTube. That's where all the visuals are, so you'll get to hear us and see us. You'll be extra lucky.
Such a treat.
And our iTunes is up too, so give us a lovely 5-star rating, please. That would be very, very nice. We'd smile a lot for that. So yeah, just give us feedback, subscribe to all of those channels and keep updated.
And I think as well, any like promo on our Instagram regarding this topic or any topic you see on our
Talk
social media.
Friday.
Yeah, Talk Friday. Engage with each other, talk to each other. If you have like diet plans that someone's maybe asking for or like wants to know just in general and tell them. Make friends. Spread the love.
Hopefully this can be a podcast that you can just chuck your headphones in and walk to the next train to, or something where you find
where we can be a friend.
Yeah, us as friends, like follow us, or just other people to reach out and feel part of an online community.
Yeah, so thanks for listening.
Thanks so much, guys. Ta-ta.
See you next time. Bye. I always get that in my head as soon as we stop.